have a wonderful program lined for you today. Here in the studio with us is Brother Sabir Bey. He's a Philly native, but he's been traveling around. He's a traveling man. I think he just got back from Texas.
Yeah, man.
On his way,
humid,
trying to get back to Cali.
Yeah,
man.
I'm out of here, man.
Yeah, you fly so much, your arms ain't sore?
You funny, you got jokes. We gonna make that joke with you in the morning. So when you do that morning show, we gonna kick it off just like that. I might even do the show with him. I'm not even gonna lie.
That's right, we could tag team.
Tag team it.
That's right.
That'd be dope.
We could win the air since Bill O'Reilly's not on there anymore.
Oh,
He's the nighttime. He's the nighttime.
He's the nighttime.
Yes.
No, he was saying since he's not on no more.
Right, I said we could rule the airways.
Yeah, he could have ruled it with him on there.
I know.
He wasn't really saying anything, dude. For real.
Not really.
Not really.
He was an instigator.
Pretty much.
A signifying monkey.
But I want to thank you, brother, for always allowing me to come into the studio. But I'm sitting here with my brother, my elder brother, Taj Tarik Bey, too. I thought you met brother Taj.
When were you last here in Philadelphia?
He's always here. He live here.
Oh, yeah? I thought you was a West Coast guy, man.
No, he domicile here. He's here.
Oh.
Here in the city.
No, he came on my show a couple, man, when I was on Wurd. This is where I got my start. This is where I got my start, everybody, WURD. So, civil, he said civil alert. That's funny.
That's not it?
Yeah, no, I'm just laughing at the name, man. Civil alert.
Yeah, we was just talking about civility.
Wow,
Yes.
that's
Being civil.
crazy, man.
Yeah.
Civil little more
But
juice.
I used to be on that side where E is at, running those boards, man. Had to learn that thing right there, man. Huh?
So they said something about this side.
It is. There's something magical about that side, man.
Yeah.
Because you get to control the stuff.
That's what I was loving about it.
Yeah, that's me too. You can get you can feel the universe.
Do you remember the brother Justice? Remember the brother used to do the Rebel Black Waves? Justin, they used to come on Saturday though. They did the Rebel Black Waves. Actually, he was the one that was showing me how to run the boards.
Yeah.
I had to literally sit with him and had to learn how to actually answer the phone.
Yeah.
Use that, and that's a lot of work back there, man.
It is, but it's like a language. It's like a language. Once you learn the language, then you know how to talk. In fact, Steve Ballard taught me. You know how he taught me? He told me I had to draw a diagram of the console. And is that how you learn too? You had to draw a diagram with the console and list every knob and button on it.
Yeah, that's what they actually. I don't even know. This is new because I remember.
It wasn't. You had a little.
It was like this, but it was a little different. Yeah. But he actually had to show me, like you said, writing things on there, like the numbers.
Right.
Just had to actually show me how to do that, man. But it can get complicated because I've messed up quite a few times, man.
Yeah, but once you learn it, like I said, it's like a language and it comes almost like a second sense. You know what to do when it's time to do it.
Yeah.
They got a lot of new stuff now with the.
I'm looking at all this, man. I'm like
sound effects. That's one other thing I used to like sitting back there.
Yeah, you used to be back there.
I know. And you know what? It's funny you mentioned that, and I said this to somebody before. And I hope that Eric doesn't get offended because when I used to run my own boards, the in-studio producers would leave and go on the back and do whatever they do, chill. But I said, young Eric Nixon, he should sit in on these shows so he could learn some things. So in order to keep him from going in the back and doing whatever you do, I say let him sit in here.
And that's what I had to do to learn it.
That's right.
And that's why I tell people pay attention because. Like even while Eric is back there now, I'm watching everything that he's doing because you still can get twisted.
But I mean, learn from our shows, learn from our content.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, and every show ain't no hit, but sometimes he can learn a lot from these shows. Like tonight, he's gonna learn some things from you and Brother Taj. So, and that's the reason why I said, well, I'll sacrifice that part of the magic so that he can learn.
Wasn't supposed to be a WURD, the information station committed to solutions?
Yeah,
I remember that old. You think I still remember that job?
Right.
Information station committed to solutions. Why you doing that?
I was there on the edge before they changed it to what it is now. I caught the last 2 years before what it is
really?
now. Yeah, I've been
Hey,
for
man,
about
I knew that
years
in
now.
my sleep.
How many years now?
About 5 or 6.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn, boy, I'm going back. Whew. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So now you hear, and I must have mentioned he got cameras galore going in. If I'd have known that you was gonna have all these cameras, I would have
my
dressed
shirt's
a
all
little
messed
better,
up,
man.
Grab the shirt.
Yeah.
What you got on underneath of that? Put the white tee on. We from Philly, bro.
Yeah, that's
Put
right.
the white tee on, bro. We
It's hot in here, man.
I
We
still-
rock with white
I
tees.
still
You got a white tee?
thermals. I got my thermals on the
Brother,
shirt.
you can take that off, bro.
Yeah.
We rocking what we gonna
Yeah,
rock.
that's what, well, hey, I'm here
You
now.
know what's
That's
funny?
real.
I'm gonna tell you what happened one day. I was going to a Tisha Campbell in
Yeah.
Martin has a restaurant, like it's like
What?
a lounge in Hollywood, right?
Okay.
It's not necessarily in Hollywood, but everybody go there,
Yeah.
right? You see everybody pop up, Cedric,
Yeah.
you know, everybody, Mike Epps, everybody comes to this comedy. You know, it's like a lounge. You just sit back and chill.
Okay. Yeah, they
It's
do
called
shows?
it's a lounge. No, it's just a lounge. Everybody,
Okay.
some people get on
Did
stage
you say
like
lounge?
a lounge, like you
They
lounge.
do the lounge.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
a,
sure, like
the
those
lounge
it's
show
called the
here.
lounge.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So everybody comes there, right? Some people get on stage, roast people.
Yeah.
So I'm calling because Tommy Davidson asked me was I gonna go. So I'm like, man, do I got to get dressed up? He said, nigga. That's what Tommy said, nigga. You in Hollywood? Who get dressed up? I said, yo, because in my head I'm thinking,
Right.
yo, I gotta wear some shoes.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, not to go to a restaurant.
No. It's like, you know, I'm thinking in my head,
Yeah,
like this
right.
is a while ago though. This is that's why, now I know how to dress. But they said, who get dressed up, bro? Seriously.
Yeah.
Like, who do that?
Yeah.
You know, people come in with ripped up jeans, t-shirt, loafers
Right.
on,
That's
look
right.
like Michael Jackson.
White tees.
Lounge is just a club where people
Yeah.
only stand around.
Brother,
just
I
chilling.
didn't know, homie. I'm not gonna lie. This is a bunch of actors in there, and I didn't know that's what
It's
it
funny
was.
you mentioned Tisha Campbell because I just came across the pictures. I was going through my archives because Kofi Asante, who is reinstituting the Black Family Reunion. You remember they said the Black Family Reunion every year with
Yeah.
Barbara Daniel Cox? Well, so they stopped having it, but they're going to bring it back with the Philadelphia Community of Leaders and Kenny Gamble. And so they called me to ask me if I had any pictures from the Black Family Reunion. Of course I do, because I was their official photographer.
Wow.
And some of the pictures that I submitted to them that they could use for their promotion was with Tisha Campbell when she was performing here.
She cool.
Yes,
Martin,
she
too,
is. She's
you know.
small though. I didn't realize she was so small until I seen her in
Hey
person.
man, listen, man.
Down to earth.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah.
Shit, a lot of people be down to earth, man.
Yeah.
A lot of
So
people.
I said, well, if she's that small, then Martin Lawrence must be small too. Then
I didn't never meet. I've been out there for 9 years. I was doing it, some work on what's that? Love That Girl, and I used to leave my bag in his office, but I never ran across him because he was the producer of that show too. He had something to do with that
The
show.
one with Tatiana?
Yeah,
Tatiana?
I met her. I was on the set with her every day.
yeah.
Oh,
You met my wife though?
Oh, that
How's
girl.
she doing? She's good,
Boy,
right?
boy. Let me tell
She
you something.
hasn't talked to me in a while either. Been in the doghouse a little bit.
You better, man. I was trying to, I saw her until her sister walked in. I was like, I was looking at her and talking to her. I turned around, her sister come out. I said, "Oh my God, damn, she look. Woo. Her sister's finer than her."
Hey, wait a minute. You
Oh,
know what
hold
the-
on,
I
hold
mean,
on.
say, you done did two that you had to pay for. They got a third one there.
Yo. Oh, my bad. I keep
Yeah,
forgetting.
yeah. This
Yeah,
not
I was like,
this not
yeah.
cable radio.
Okay, my bad.
This is family
where
radio.
Where the jar joint at, man?
Yeah, the feet.
Where the jar at?
Yeah.
So you're the first person that's ever actually dropped consecutively, so we've never
yeah.
had to have a job.
Yeah,
Okay.
I said okay, it was the first one. All right.
Okay, my bad.
Whoa, whoa,
But no,
whoa.
but see, but my bad. But I keep forgetting where I'm at. See, and this is the thing, man. Sometimes Taj don't know what's going on. He don't know what y'all talking about right now.
Okay.
He looking like, what y'all talking about?
But
Certain
you
words
were
and
radio,
certain
so
things.
you know.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
certain words and certain things you can't say
Oh,
on
yeah.
radio.
Yeah.
So when I was on Revolt TV doing inside work, I had to remember where I
Revolt,
was
is
at.
that Puffy Combs?
Yeah, and I said, well, what are they revolting against? Because revolt means you revolting against something.
Maybe a revolt against the establishment.
No, it wasn't. He ain't definitely not doing that. But I had to remember where I was at when
Right.
I jumped on the stage,
Right.
and I'm sitting here like, oh, I keep forgetting, man. But just come over to the Sabir Bey show.
Now, you know what? The Breakfast Club, you ever checked them out?
I listen to them when certain people on there, but again, that's part of the establishment.
Oh,
You know what I
okay.
mean?
Yeah.
They say some things on there though.
Yeah.
Don't get it twisted. They do say some things, but
Yeah, because I've seen
I'm not a
Mr.
fan.
Farrakhan over there.
Is that why they're so big right now? Like with the streaming and YouTube, is anytime you bring something up, anytime it's Breakfast Club, check them out.
yeah, because you know how much money being pushed over there, bro?
No.
It's a lot of money being. It's Jews who run that, man.
Okay.
Mm.
And the reason why I asked about that is because in the backdrop, when you see they have a whole bunch of liquor sitting around in the back.
Yes. That's
What is they
advertisement.
promote?
You paused enough for that? I was like, I just sit there.
No,
and
but you'll
the
see
pans
it.
are so
But you'll
quick.
see it. It's
Yeah,
product
all the
placement.
bottles, yeah.
Product
Placement,
placement.
that's right.
If you, this is
That's
why
right.
certain stuff that I don't even have on, you know, but you do see this, but it is what it is.
That's right.
Philly, it's a P.
That's right.
But it's product placement,
That's
and if
right.
you watch it, it's Puffy's drink.
Oh yeah,
If you pay
Ciroc and
attention-
stuff.
If you peep it,
Yeah.
it's product placement.
Yeah.
So they sit stuff there for a reason, you know. So
Right,
people can
subliminal.
see it. Like you picked it up, didn't
Right, right,
Okay.
absolutely.
LL Cool J did a
And
commercial.
plus it's subtle.
Yeah,
That's
what's
right,
up.
subliminal seduction. So the reason why I mentioned this is because I don't listen to them, but I had thought that they were a progressive, positive radio program. I said, well, if they do that, well, why are they promoting
That's just
alcohol?
interview spots, man. It's just interviews,
Yeah,
you know,
it's-
high class stuff, just talking to talk. It's a popular
Right.
radio show that happens to be on YouTube.
Okay.
Exactly, that's all it is, and people are pushing it out there, man. But you know, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, you know, he said you don't have to condemn a dirty glass of water, just sit a clean one up.
Yeah,
So
make a choice.
we just have to work hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I was sharing with you earlier about working with Hawthorne James. You
Right.
know, the film that we just did called The Abandonment Act. You know, and I was like, this dude, if you ever seen his plays, that dude is no joke.
Yeah.
Seriously, he's really like
Mhm.
he will make sure you do what you need to do. You know what I mean? And he don't care about being part of Hollywood. You know, he's you know.
So tell me, how's it been out on the West Coast? You've been out there a little while now. You traveling around still, but I mean, it's almost like you got relocated to California.
I've
from
been out there.
Philadelphia.
No.
I know it's been a while. I'm saying, but
9 years, man.
so I mean, what's the difference? You want to stay out there? You coming back to
Oh
Philadelphia?
no, I'm never coming back. I just told somebody.
Never say never, because you never know.
I'ma say never say never. I'ma say it.
Why is that?
Listen, it's a cloud over Philly. It's a
For sure.
cloud over
Yeah.
Boston.
Yeah.
When I land in Philly, my energy level drops.
Wow.
Really?
I never would fly into Philly. I would always fly into New York
Okay, and then
and then come here. But even if I'm coming on a bus, my energy level would drop coming across Ben Franklin Bridge.
So now you just
It's sad.
come in from Texas. What was going on out in
I
Texas?
loved it. I did some workshops there and dealing with the Out of Darkness.
Right.
I did workshops out there also in Houston. I would live in Houston before I would come back here.
Oh, okay.
You know, I love it, man. Houston is a spot, not Dallas.
Yeah.
Houston.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I wouldn't
So then you mentioned Out of Darkness. How's that going?
it's doing real good. We actually ready to take it overseas.
Mm-hmm.
It's overseas already. Somebody's bootlegging it overseas already. So I got a phone call from London. A girl was on the subway. She said, "Sabir, hold on 1 second." And I'm like, "What?" She said, "I want to let you see something." She picked her camera up for FaceTime and said, "Look," and the dude was trying to duck, and she's coming out the subway showing a copy of Out of Darkness. You know, and I'm like, I don't care. Like, let them dudes do. At least it's getting over there. But when I come there, then I can build.
Speaking about FaceTime, what do you think about that Facebook assassin?
Oh, I don't know. I don't watch that stuff, and I don't want that energy.
I don't either. I wouldn't even watch it, man. I did. And when they was showing it on media, I didn't watch it.
I don't, you know,
watch it.
certain things I don't watch, man. I don't, you know, because I don't want that in my psyche.
That's right.
You know, I was at Universal Studios, and when I was sitting there with this Jewish guy, he worked on I think it was Louisiana, the crime scenes in Louisiana, like the guys that go out with the police that actually film live scenes with
Right.
the shooting. And he said his partner went crazy in New York. He don't want to go back.
Wow.
He said because what it does is messes with your psyche.
Yeah, for
So-
sure. Got to.
And I'm sitting with him, and I said, well, "What do you think that this stuff that you see on World Star or
Yeah.
you know Facebook or
Right.
our brothers being shot in the police?"
Yeah.
And you know, what I mean, I'm sharing this with him. He said, "Yeah, but this is why I want to do something different. How can I make a difference? This is what a Jewish guy is asking me. How can I make a difference?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean, on what you're talking about or what you're doing, Sabir." And I'm sitting here like, why is he trying to figure me out? But I understand where he's coming from. And this is why I don't watch certain things that, you know, that come up on the screen. Somebody say, "Oh, did you watch the guy get shot?" Why would I want to see
Don't
that?
What
Trade
about
that
lighter?
energy.
What about lighter things like when people watch videos about people getting smacked or people getting beat up?
All of
not even the serious
It's
ones.
still
There are videos
negative.
that people do serious ones, but right, like
Pranks.
the joking ones, the prank ones, the ones where people say,
Still
"Hi, you
negative.
fell down the steps. That's crazy." You know,
Still
people that watch
negative.
this. Still the same
Getting
thing.
enjoyment
It's
out
the
of
same
other
thing.
people's misery.
But I
Right.
saw one with a girl getting beat up in a wheelchair. I don't know if you saw it. It was on Facebook, and I turned it off. It was
I
a
don't watch
girl.
that stuff, man.
She was hitting the girl in the wheelchair. The girl in the wheelchair was fighting back. But again, y'all, that's good for ratings because it's when you're doing radio and TV, radio was invented to sell radios. That's how radio got started, to sell radios. It's all based on advertisement and sponsorship. So they don't care about what you're talking about, long as we get the ratings. And this is what was told to me from the guy from Universal Studios also. And it's before him, I did the research on it. It's not about what you're saying, it's the ratings. The grimy it can be. I talk about love and no hip hop. You know, it's women in their 30s and 40s. You know what I mean? Why are you acting like you 18 years old? Why? It's ratings. They taking water. It ain't liquor that they throwing in their faces. It's water. You ever see the Love and No Hip Hop?
Yeah,
when they throw stuff in their face, but it's
stuff.
good for ratings. You see what I'm saying? So that's all it's really based on. But it's advertisement. Wendy Williams, when she does her shows and she does the gossip columns,
Hot Topic.
it's she used to be on radio talking about the gossip columns.
Right, that was her thing.
Yeah. So what happens? It's based on the ratings, and they put mad money behind that.
For sure.
Because they extended that too. Like she had it on for 20 minutes, then extended it to 30.
Exactly.
She has extended that segment over
gossip.
interviews.
See what I'm
on
saying?
Mondays.
How it works?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing what we're doing with the Real Barbershop Talk. And somebody said, well, how could you make it real grimy, Sabir? I'm like, grimy like what? I don't want to do that. You know, how can I? And sometimes I'll be ready to do that. You know, but...
And it's funny you said it because I've said to myself, I say now, should I start talking about controversial things
You
here
should.
to up my ratings?
You should. I just told you what you can do. You can't... See, Dave, you have to be the person that push that envelope. But you can still be smooth and diplomatic about it. You know? And that's why I say you can do it. Don't be scared to do it because somebody else is watching. You know, it could be a European. No, a European be like, yeah, I like him. He's keeping it 100.
But see, then that's my problem because then they want to be my sponsor, but then I'll be a 501(c)(3) again. I'll be like under constraints.
But you know what though? Sponsorship is good if it's the right people.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you have sponsored them and say, y'all may sponsor you. Like when you see me fly somewhere, sometimes people sponsor my flights. So they may say, yo, dude, I got you. Don't worry about that. You know what I mean? Or yo, dude, I got you on that. Right. That's how they are.
That's right.
So sponsors don't have to be that. You know, even
they don't have to be. That's right.
When I started radio in LA, I tell people this story all the time. When I was done with radio when I left Wurd, the Mexican brother came to me and gave me the money. Almost $1,000 twice. You know, he's in LA, but I made friends with them because I wasn't with the black and brown thing. You know what I mean? So it's, he came and said, yo, brother, you got to do the show. You know, I love your conversation. So that's one way. Or I may be like, I was in Houston talking to the Ethiopians. And I said, yo, I want to come back and do something on your restaurant. He said, yes, come on.
I was keeping up with you when you was doing that Ethiopian thing. I said, what is Sabir? You becoming Ethiopian now?
No, we are Ethiopians, though. The original Ethiopians.
Okay.
So what happens is when I was even in Houston, I was speaking to a brother from synagogue. I spoke with the Ethiopian community. I do that in Boston. But I talked to them with substance. And what they do, they'll start opening up to me.
Right.
And start sharing with me and saying, well, you don't sound like a black American because I'm not a black American. You know, so they'll start sharing things with me, like you heard Todd say earlier. We build with people. We don't separate our people. So when I was in Boston, the Ethiopian sister told me, she said, if the black people in America don't wake up, they're going to be left standing by themselves. This is what she said. Because what happens, they keep making themselves separate. So who's going to really back you? When you watch Ethiopians, Somalians, and different other groups, they stay in their little clique, dude.
Well, most of the ethnicities have their cultural glue.
Yep.
Yeah, they do.
But we just...
Because you don't have a culture.
Well, like Dr. Malifia Sanchez said, we're suffering from a cultural amnesia, cultural deficiency.
Well, if you know that, then what is the solution to the problem? Tell the truth, right?
To nourish ourselves culturally is because when you are deficient, that means you're lacking something.
So let me ask you this: so everybody's culture is the same?
Of course not.
Okay, so what happened to us with our culture? Because hip hop has a culture too.
Yes, it does. But our culture was disrupted.
Whose culture? Your culture may have been different than my culture. My
That's
tribe
right.
may be from a different tribe than
right.
your tribe. So our cultures were
That's
totally
right.
different.
Our ancestral culture from the continent of Africa has been disrupted.
But everybody in Africa's culture is not the same.
That is true.
You see what I'm saying?
Neither is the language. They speak like 2,000 different languages.
Oh yeah. You know, when I was in Houston, I spoke with a guy from Guinea. He said, and I talked about this book, Portuguese. I didn't know. He told me something because I said, are you from Nigeria or Guinea? He said, Guinea. How did you know? So he said, there's three Guineas. He said, Spanish, Portuguese, and French. He said, I'm Spanish. This is what he said. And I'm sitting here like, wow. I'm in an Ethiopian restaurant talking to him. So as we having a conversation, and then he leans over and said, well, you don't talk like a black American. That's what they all say. So, because I'm not speaking as being a slave. Right. So he was saying a Mexican said to him, why are you speaking Spanish? And he asked the Mexican, why are you speaking Spanish? Because he said, because I'm Mexican. He said, no, you're not. You was colonized. That's why you're speaking Spanish. You know, you are Arawak or Taino or something, if that's the case. Taino. See what I'm saying? So as he's having this conversation with me, he's shocked because he's saying, well, wait a minute, how do you know?
So the current Mexican culture is a break off of Spanish, which is derived from the original Native Americans that were here in America.
Yes, us. And actually, Mexico only means mixed. The I is an E.
What did the Mexicans say when we went, how many years ago that we went to the International Theater?
At the International House, we were there. Yeah. This is, that's probably over 10 years ago. We was in Philly at the International House when the Mexicans said that we were their forefathers. And the International House,
we were their forefathers.
At the European Moors.
Okay.
We were so-called blacks, so-called Negro, like Malcolm said.
I think.
No, they said Moors. He said
Moors. I'm just saying that so they can know that we're not separate.
Overall, with the basis of our culture that we have now, they're trying to build something out of it. We're trying to quote unquote build something out of it. It's what's cemented right now. But what change? People are afraid of change. The possibility of trying to strip us of what we're already familiar with, whether we go back to slavery or what currently is now, people are aware of what they're going through. To strip us of it now leaves a level of fear, but also a level of, I guess it would be
a void.
What's the word? A void?
Yeah.
I would think void and when you're freed.
It's sort of like that our old cartoon, if anybody's familiar with it, used to have this cartoon Lucy.
Yeah,
by Lemuel carried I don't know which character was or Charlie.
Was a cartoon
carried the blanket. He would not release the blanket, which meant that he was handicapped. And so what we're actually saying, and this back to actually what our earlier conversation is that we've accepted a civil little more two status as culture when it's actually dead culture, and then are afraid to let it go. But yet it doesn't work in the real world, and it's a contradiction. It's sort of like, it is not unlike what Harriet Tubman said. One of the most difficult things to do is to free a slave who don't know they're slaves. What she's really meaning is that they refuse to give up a peonage culture that is really not their culture, and they keep calling it their culture. And they keep living the destruction of their culture. And so such persons are deemed in law as civil liter mortuus. That is an actual legal term that's applied to people who are called black, Negro in color.
When I was coming in, I was thinking about, as you and Eric said, people are afraid to let things go.
Liberated. Yeah. They want to feel liberated once we get off of this culture that we're on now.
Yeah, afraid to be themselves.
It's a responsibility, because what they say, with great knowledge comes great responsibility.
Yes.
So if you have the knowledge, you have to be responsible, right? So if I'm responsible and Taj is responsible, whose job is it to teach the people? The ones that's responsible, right? So now we have to tell the people then, right?
Right.
So that's how it has to go. So, and you say about the changing, we change our clothes, we change our hairstyle, we change every day.
But we need to change our lifestyles also, as I was about to say, when I change our lifestyle and thinking, because as I was saying, when I was coming in, I was thinking about how one of the ways to improve ourselves is through the process of elimination. We have to begin to eliminate those things that are harmful to us, like lying, stealing, and cheating, participating in gossip. Those things. If you can begin to eliminate certain things out of your life, then it makes you a better person, regardless of what geographical area you come from.
That's like trying to tell somebody to get off of me.
Yeah.
It's like trying to tell somebody.
That's a part of elimination.
But follow. It's like telling somebody that they can stop eating meat. It's hard.
It's hard.
To do that. But again, your job is to give it to them, and they'll get it. I hear a lot of this stuff. And I'm like, Todd said in the room earlier. He said about the etymology. It's a third grade degree. Basically, it's third grade. And I'm like, well, why don't we know language? Why do we keep saying thing is pun, or semantics or something like that, So I was asking the young brothers in the room about what was black in the room.
Right.
One was 10 and one is 11. That's his sons.
Mm-hmm.
And they pointed to something black.
Right.
And I said, well, what complexion are you? And they said brown.
Mm-hmm.
Right? These are young brothers. So again, we have to change our thinking, man. And it really has to do with eating too.
But when you say it's hard, it's not. It is hard, but through the process of elimination, if you can eliminate a lot of those things, negative things out of your life, it becomes less difficult.
Yeah.
Because it becomes a lot easier to do the right thing. It's like a scale. You have do the right thing, do the wrong thing, and so the more right you do, the less wrong you do.
That's true. That is true. But
So the more you do, the easier it gets.
That's true.
It's called a logistical traceback.
Okay.
I mean, what is it? What is the logical thing to do? It's called logistics.
Right.
All over the world. Let's be more specific. If you're going into, say, woods or something like that, or some place, barren place that you're not familiar with, one of the things that you do is you make markers, or you look at markers, landmarks, streams, trees. You look which way the sun comes in.
Mm-hmm.
You look at the tendency of the bark, the leaves, etc., and find, due north.
Right.
And you find the east side because it's most healthy. You'll see on the trees. And the same way with people who've got lost linguistically, and or under what you call European colonial occupation, which is essentially really what it's called a logistical search, which means if you're going to fix a problem, you've got to look at it logistically, not on emotions or not on how you feel, not with biases. You've got to do what you call a trace back. So what is it wrong with these people in North America that are called Negro, black, colored, niggers, whatever they think they're human beings are crayons. They watch other civilized people come from around the world in territories where they are, immediately make economic and political progress. They could have language barriers, everything else, and they don't have the same hang-ups. All they have to do is do a logistical traceback. What is unique about us that causes our social and economic problems distinguished from others? Well, number one, like as an example, this area here, Shakamatsu, called Philadelphia.
Yeah.
It's one of your most fast gentrified places in North America.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a Negro tax that is known that locks persons who are called black out. So, and most of them will tell you about Jesus, God, Allah, Muhammad, and don't even know the Negro tax that locks them out economically. As an example, yes. As an example, you can see empty buildings, commercial and otherwise, around the city. You can see people come from other nations, and I emphasize that, nations who honor their mothers and their fathers. They know that human beings are not crayons, and they come under international law protections like human beings do.
Right.
And so Negro Acts don't apply to them. It applies to what you call people who are in a dead status. The people that are called Negro, black, and colored, their pedigree is more. They refuse to acknowledge it.
When you say why us, I think it's economical. That's why they chose us. It was more
But the Negro tax is one of the lockouts.
Portuguese to come and begin their disruption of our culture, colonization.
Then you got to name the culture, because the culture is always tied to the nation.
Exactly, you got to name the culture.
The nation of tribe.
And this is
all
what we're
over the
saying.
world.
It's like we keep throwing the word culture out.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at somebody from Somalia,
Right.
Sudan,
Right.
Nigeria, they may be all Africans, but the cultures are different. Each
That's
one
right.
maybe. So when we say culture, what do we mean by culture?
What
To
you
me,
practice.
looking at you,
Right.
you can be Wolof. You look
Right,
like
that's
you
right.
Wolof.
I
from
was
Senegal.
adopted in Senegal.
No, it ain't about you being
That's right.
adopted, but if you did your
DNA.
testing,
Yeah, ancestry.
I guarantee you
Yeah.
that you. Do you know that Morgan Freeman is a Tuareg?
I don't even know what
A
a Touareg
Tuareg is one.
I thought a Touareg was a Volkswagen.
Touareg.
See, now look how crazy this is. Now, let me show you how crazy it is. You have the internet, right? we are in the age of information, right?
That's right.
So if you look up the Tuareg, they was the sand dwellers of the Sahara. Those were the Moors that was in the Sahara Desert.
Mm-hmm.
So what the Europeans did is create a Tuareg Volkswagen. This is crazy. So we only know the
It's
Tuareg.
funny when you Google Tuareg, you say 20, the Tuareg?
Tuareg.
Tuareg.
Yeah.
Touareg. For those that might be pulling out
Yes,
Google
Tuareg.
right now, like I did, the first thing that comes up is the 2017
Now
Volkswagen.
go get Tuareg people. Now watch how simple is it punching people.
All right, we're gonna punch
Watch
in.
how crazy this is
We're gonna
because
punch
what
in
happens,
people.
like the Twa people, they even made the airline the TWA.
So
That
it's-
was the Twa.
So the original spelling was it Touareg, right?
Yeah.
That's what I put in. The correction is Tuareg.
Okay, so now remember when I told you about the language again.
Mm-hmm.
Remember
Etymology and
the language.
Yeah.
Okay, so
It's-
first thing that comes up is the Wikipedia, and in the first 4 questions: who are the Tuaregs? What is the meaning of it?
Now
What
go
do
to
they
the
eat?
images. Now go to the
What do
image.
they eat?
Yeah, what do they eat? And what do people
They
live?
got Morgan Freeman's
How do
picture up
people-
there?
No, you're gonna see them wrapped in blue. They're gonna be wrapped dark as you,
Right.
wrapped in blue. Remember the
Right.
movie Robin Hood? And Morgan Freeman was in there.
No, I ain't seen
Oh,
it.
you never saw that one with
I
Kevin
don't, I
Costner?
don't go to movies
Okay.
to see stuff like that.
The first 2 rows are of people. The third image, first on the left, is their region in Africa,
See?
highlighted.
See, they made the movie called the Sahara. The
Right.
movie.
Right.
That was the Tuareg, the one that was the sand dweller. We would be up and down the
Oh,
sand.
I think I seen some preliminary stuff on that when Morgan Freeman was the only black person in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you gotta say he was wrapped up. If
Another
you-
question is how do people live in the Sahara Desert?
Exactly. How could they?
Right.
They had to have melanin. That sand is no joke.
Yeah.
So when you do
So-
research now, if we are scholar, like Todd said earlier,
Mhm.
if these guys are scholars, why are they not tying that together with our people to say we do have culture, we do have nationality?
Well, I believe that it's because this country has, as Professor Carl Tone Jones and I on his What About Us show every first of the month, talking about I believe that they want to continue to not only disrupt us but keep us confused.
Of course.
Oppressed.
So
But it's
by
not
keeping
only-
us confused, that means that we won't be able to see what they're doing to us.
Well, we always want to blame. We always want to blame the Europeans.
They didn't hide that.
Yeah, they don't hide anything. Dude.
Because the belief is that once we realize where we come from, no matter what region we've come from, we have come from greatness. History-wise, we have come from
And
this
then
great
where you
nation.
are.
And where we are.
And meaning that the whole psychology of where you come from as opposed to where are you.
Mm-hmm.
We have this psychology that we've adopted from Europeans that always separates us from our land. It's disinheritance. So 90%, if you do any research around the world with anthropology, and it's never been hidden, 92%, as a matter of fact, it's no more than 2% of Asiatic African people in North America that came from off these shores. The others are already here. And they themselves keep claiming to be coming from someplace else because Europeans told them so.
So some of us were already here.
The majority
said, listen,
is not a secret, but
It's
they're
not a secret.
in this what they call black culture society that disconnects them from land, birthright, pedigree, nationality, culture, traditions, law, and jurisprudence. And they only deal with beliefs.
And
This is where the problem is.
And belief means that you don't know. When you look at to look at the word belief, I was told by Professor Burton and Taj knew this was he used to teach at Temple.
Yeah.
To analyze and scrutinize
Etymology.
everything. Belief means to be lied to, which means you're dependent on somebody else to tell you that instead of you researching it yourself. That's what belief. If you look if you take the word belief and loosen it up, you're going to see lie inside the word belief. So now you have a definition, because I heard Dave say something about a country. This country doesn't have a name. If you get a Webster's dictionary from 1939, 38, it's going to tell you, and I have it in the other room. It says America, the Aboriginal copper-colored natives found on the American continent by the European. The original application of the name. It didn't say country. So when Todd said we were here, yes, we was in South America and in North America. So wherever you at in Brazil, because you got more of us in Brazil than a little bit.
Certainly.
You follow me? So we're not. So when you go to Brazil, do they call themselves black or Brazilians? Brazilians, right? But they're dark people that's there, right? So if you were in South America, I only brought you up to North America and then back down South America, up and down Macy, Dixieland,
and vice versa.
Vice versa. So when we don't study the history, and that's called critical thinking. When you start this, even this book, you pick this up, Dave. This book and this book, Slavery in America. It's mentioned in this book about the Moors. It's mentioned in here, talking about it. In here, it talks about in the 1960s when we were called black. We never called ourselves black before that. Black was a modern term.
And now it's been adopted because of, James Brown and acceptance.
But James Brown's never said that though. See,
you didn't say it loud?
Listen to the songs, and this is why I love when people would deal with real hip hop. Well, you brought the book in? James, it's not in that book. It's not in that bag. If you listen to James Brown,
right,
he never said, I'm black and I'm proud. Listen to it again.
I could say it loud.
No, that's what he said.
I'm black and I'm proud.
And the people
say it.
Guess who it was? Little white boys and black boys in there too. When Bambaataa shared that with me, I said, wow. And he said, listen to it again.
Yeah.
James never said I'm black and I'm proud. Look how media plays. So now, just like you said about World Star, Breakfast Club, all these places, that's why this stuff is being pushed out. So now, James never said I'm black and I'm proud. He said, say it loud. And the crowd said I'm black and I'm proud. James never said that.
So what would have been inserted had that not been, like what was the original insertion? If you just say it loud and it's just a gap of music there.
I don't know.
But he never said it. But
he never said it. But
right.
when we hear things, we think he said it without knowing that there was little white boys in there too.
Because they constructed it to be that.
Listen, editing is a mug.
Yeah, it is.
I can create anything to make something for what it's not.
Yeah,
and especially dealing with film, dude. Like being out here, I'm watching how this thing. I said, whoa, they do Photoshop now.
Yes.
So when you go back to what you said about the Breakfast Club, the power is in the media. People don't understand that. The power is in the media. So now you got all these people going around in different countries. Oh, these are black people here in India. Or these are black people in Brazil. They don't call themselves black. This is why they look at you and say, okay, you black? And then if I have a conversation with them, they'll talk to me totally differently than they would talk to you. And this is what I want to do is start traveling to talk to other people. And then you will hear them say, nah, dude, that's new. That's modern.
Well, now, we are actually running low on the time. Is there some things that you specifically want to talk about tonight that you want to cover? I mean, because you came in from Texas, you're on your way to California, you brought these distinguished guests in here with you.
Yeah.
Certainly there must be something that you want to express.
I'm going to Taj go, but I'm going to talk about if you don't get out of darkness, I suggest y'all get it.
Yeah.
That is the most powerful.
If you don't get out of darkness, get out of town.
Yeah, get out of town. That is the hottest documentary out, and it's like Tim Wise,
right.
Taj is in there, I'm in there, Claude Anderson, Joy DeGroot, Umar Johnson, Anthony Browder, Atlantis Browder. Did I forget anybody? I think I got everybody in there. Oh, Dr. Kaba's in there. Can't forget Dr. Kaba. And everybody in there get a check twice a year from that film.
What?
Oh,
they
yeah.
get royalties?
Yes. Taj, you tell you, he's sitting right here. Ask him.
Yeah.
He gets a check twice a year too. He's in it.
Yeah.
But that's how.
Except for when people bootleg.
Well, then again, you can't control
anything out there.
Yeah.
Is,
really
if it
can't.
has any quality, it's going to get
Yeah,
bootlegged.
you really can't control that though, bro.
It's quality from China.
But you gotta constantly keep. You gotta constantly keep what you call it though. Hold on.
Hey.
Damn. Phone's ringing all up in the studios, man.
Yeah, I forgot to tell everybody if you want to join the conversation, you
Yeah.
can call us at 215-634-8065. We only have a little while left, but you can jump in and get in where you fit in right here with me and Sabir and Taj WRD.
Bro, I know you've been here. You ever have a point where you answered the phone from home? I had this the other day where I was at home and my father called the house because he had to ask my mother a question. And I picked up the phone. I lie to you not, and I've done this before. I picked up the phone and said WURD. I swear.
He ain't never lied. He ain't never lied. I did
scared,
that,
man. I was like, stop. I need to be at home.
WURD. Oh, damn, my bad. 215-634-8065. Again, 215-634-8065.
You say that too smooth right now.
And it's something like you do.
Hey, man, I know this. Listen, you don't understand. That number that's in my head. I said it so much, man.
Yeah.
I said that number so much, boy. I'm like, man.
Here they come. The calls are coming in right now. So now, Wait a minute, let's see, before we get started the conversation, let's take this phone call. But that, Brother Taj, what have you been doing here in Philadelphia? I mean, to help to educate the people, not just locally, but globally.
Well, basically on the same subject matter, because traditions, as a matter of fact, I had did a class Friday, and one of the nature of restoration, you can't restore what you do not know. And just like when you do, like Sabir always speaks, because we did a video some years ago on critical thinking.
Classic.
Because essentially that is a logistical step back. So it's not a secret. For instance, like Obama, when he was president of the United States Service Corporation, went to Egypt. And as you know, he's Kenyan, and he's a constitutional lawyer. And he exposed that the American Constitution comes from Muslim law. Mm-hmm. Then he went into the Treaty of Peace and Friendship between Morocco and the United States, 1790. And he went directly to Article 11. And then Michelle went to Alhambra. Then they came back and they had the world taking pictures of them with the true Moroccan flag. That's your flag. These people in North America are Moors. They be telling them every kind of way that they can, and they keep on going back to the black codes, getting the black treatment, and want to complain and march. You can't know your culture if you don't honor your mothers and fathers. It's not a secret. It's just that like you say, one of the things that the European has fun doing is telling our people over and over again, and then watching them go back. As an example, with Martin Lawrence, with the Black Knight. They tell these people that they're Moors. Morgan Freeman, Robin Hood, tell these people that they're Moors. Anthony Hopkins,
Will Smith, Wild
in
Wild
True
West,
Romance, tell these people that they're Moors. With Will Smith, Wild Wild West, tell these people that they're Moors. On and on and on. And then they keep going back to the black codes, getting the black code treatment, and then wondering what's wrong.
But everything is subliminal. But see, everything is subliminal.
Right.
When we did the film out of the Abandonment Act, the reason why we had the book in there was subliminal. It was so you could see the book. You see what I'm saying?
I remember you said you had it sitting on the
table. You had the book sitting there, so somebody would see it. It was a scene with Jamie Foxx, Law-Abiding Citizen. I don't know if you saw that movie. You seen the movie? Did you see the movie Law-Abiding Citizen?
With who in it?
Jamie Foxx.
Yes.
Okay, remember the scene where they went to the house and they went to get the dude took his clothes off? Remember? He was taking his clothes off because the cops was coming to get him. And Jamie Foxx and the cop was in his house.
Okay.
And they moved the book. And they had, it was Title 11 of the United States Codes in the book.
Okay.
So the dude asked Jamie, is this guy a lawyer? Right? He said, no, he's a mechanic. So what it was, that was subliminal. Mm-hmm. So the book was there, but if you didn't catch the book, it was United States Codes Title 11. Mm-hmm. So everything is subliminal. So in the movie, they put them in there. And what they do, like I just told you about the guy from Universal, they want to try to get content from you. You have to have content. So they say, how can we use this content that Sabir has here and put it over here? Just like now, people take your content and they'll say it on another radio station. You'd be like, man, where did you get that? You didn't research, you didn't do that for ratings. They're doing this for their ratings. So this is just how it works, man. Hollywood.
Let's go to the phones and take a caller. Good evening, caller. Welcome to New World View. What's your first name? Where you calling from? Hey, New Orleans chiming in. How you doing today,
Peace.
man?
How's it going?
Good. Good.
You can't.
What's the deal behind it? What's
don't.
happening since 1960, as you're already aware, if you know world politics, the United States Service Corporation was supposed to decolonize Morocco, which is actually North America. And they've been under pressure, and one of the things that they've been doing subtly is starting to push the European women on us because they know that they can claim the estate through that. We're talking real world politics, not what people believe.
Me personally, I call them MIAs, brother. Mm-hmm. MIAs means Moors in action. So I don't know.
You can't missing in action.
You can't. I mean, that's just the people, man. But they doing the same thing in Ethiopia, brother. I mean, a sister just got back from Ethiopia telling me about the Chinese is mixing with the Ethiopians over there in Ethiopia. So they're separating the Ethiopian women from the other Ethiopians. She just got back a couple months ago. So what happened, you know, she said they can't own land, so how they're doing it is that their children can own the land. They themselves can't own the land, but their posterity can own the land. So it could be the same thing with this. I don't know. With this European, people may have their opinions and stuff on it, but I have to dig into it.
I figured it was always just social acceptance, not hypnotism, but just to put it in your face that this is okay. Brainwashing.
Propaganda.
Propaganda is a good word for it.
I don't know.
Yeah, for the masses. See, when the masses look at it on the surface like that, with what they call the minor mind perspective, that's adults have the mentality of minors. They call them minorities. They think it means African identity. It actually means adults that are considered in law boys and girls. So instead of calling them boys and girls, which they have the mentality of, they call them minority, and it's not so insulting. But in fact, that is really a law term applied to adults who think like children, who do not honor their mothers and fathers, think human beings are crayons, and you can't tell them anything else. However, they are the people of the land. That's why they never get deported. But they don't know they're the people of the land because they believe they came from someplace else. So if Europeans marry into the family, they can't be deported after decolonization because the rest of the civilized world are now dumping all U.S. Treasury bonds, which means the United States Service Corporation in short order will no longer be able to pretend to be the country. Europeans know that, but they know that persons who have been their property don't know that. They think the United States is a country. The rest of the world knows it's a private corporation registered in France, 1754, by Benjamin Franklin, that had control of the enumerated powers under the Treaty of Peace and Friendship as the Moroccan Empire was falling. And so George Washington converted the Moorish estates into the states, and under unum sanctum policy and expurgatorius, they've been perpetrating the corporate entity as the country ever since. And this you will see in that letter from Pope Francis to Obama telling the truth of the shell corporations, the United States, etc., and telling the world the United States is a corporation, not a country. Now, Europeans and people who know real history and politics, they deal on the real political scale. Our people still deal with crayons. Light-skinned, orange-skinned, green people can marry purple, orange-skinned, striped people for real?
Well, what are the corporations that are running America?
It's United States Service Corporation.
United States Service Corporation.
It's a corporation, and Morocco has been under occupation for a couple of hundred years. But the people who can't read think that human beings come in colors, so they forget that the Europeans are colonists. And so the Europeans are stealing their estates.
I know it's a bigger picture than that, but that's why I joke low-key and say Donald Trump is a businessman. And then people say,
and a Knights Templar. Let's be clear.
Yeah, we gotta go with that, right? Yeah. And I've had thoughts about that too. Like his jokes about the Assassin's Creed series. I don't know. It's a video game series, but it actually goes deep into some people's history. Some of it is actually fictional. It even says on the game, some of this is historical, but we've mixed it with fiction to pitch it as a story.
Exactly.
And at the end of the day, some of this stuff is actually historical. Even characters who are historical figures that help progress in America are actually in the game, and they help you progress due to the knowledge that they have,
exactly.
right?
And
So it's like with Donald Trump, I've joked and said that America is a corporation. It's a country. But at the end of the day, you look at America, it's actually a business.
Pull up Pope's letter to Obama, July the 4th, 2014, go down to the bottom of it, and that's the Pope Francis letter to Obama. Go to the last paragraphs and read it, and this stuff is not hidden. Scholars know this, just that they won't talk
We have
about
all this information. Yeah. Why then are we so retarded?
Because we won't read. Don't they say it every day? Don't worry about those little pickaninnies. Don't worry about those little pickaninnies. They will never compete because they can't read.
Sarah Palin said it's not a good word.
Retarded. But you know what though? Like he just said, the movies,
right?
A lot of this stuff is mixed with truth and falsehood.
They
say in plays they say never tell us the truth in a story. Never tell the truth in a story. A lot of this stuff is stories. When I never even watched when he was talking about the game.
It's a movie. It's a
The
movie
movie.
now. It's
It's
a
a
game
movie.
series. Even
Series, right?
in the third game, you are a Native American assassin in America that's being colonized.
Oh, you talking about the Assassin movie?
Assassin. Well, that's a movie, but it was a game series before
Okay,
that.
yeah.
In the third game, you are a Native American, and your father was a European who came over here and made it with Native American. You became an
But
assassin.
you know that's
to
the
thing.
that's the whole story behind Montezuma and what was going on with them.
I believe
Montezuma was a Moor. If you go Google the governor of California, he was the first governor, Pio Pico.
Khalifa.
His
was
picture
more.
is his Pio Pico's picture is in the subway in L.A. And when I was there, I took a picture. It's on Facebook. I took a picture and I'm standing with a Mexican brother, and I said, "What does that say
Civil
right
orders.
there?"
Is the
He
name
said
of
it
the
means
letter.
African. He read it to me in Mexican. He said in Spanish. He said it means African. And we was started talking about Pio Pico being the first governor of California, and he's dark, but they don't teach this.
Thank you, Eric, for calling in today, man. Actually, I wanted to make a mention that today we were expecting to have Phil Washington, health coach, here on the show, and I have some listeners that was looking forward to seeing him. I have one of my favorite listeners, Yvonne Taylor.
What up, Yvonne?
She was looking forward to hearing from Phil Washington today. Maybe he'll come in next month. But you brought the book in here with you today, The Portuguese in West Africa. What's this book about?
It actually speaks about the Moors that was in West Africa.
Mm-hmm.
See, because people
Before
think,
colonization?
yeah, but people think the Moors just came from North Africa. It wasn't just North Africa. And funny thing with this, I have an article from the archives in D.C. It says, "Will Spain fall to the same Moorish tribes that conquered her in 711?"
Mm-hmm.
So now I was in the airport last night, and I was also, I know some brothers from Morocco here. I was coming out the airport because I had the layover, and I'm stopped at the gate. Because I always say, "Well, brother, where you from?"
Yeah.
And the guy said, "What do you look like I'm from?" And I said, "North Africa." I said, "You're Amazigh." And he said, and you should have seen that facial expression.
Wow.
He said, "Amazigh, what you know about Amazigh?" Most people say Morocco. Morocco is French.
Okay.
The people was called the Amazigh.
Mm-hmm.
And it was Amazigh or Imazim. Those are the original people that's there. So he was like, "How did you know that's who we were? Where are you from?"
Yeah.
So when we talk about the Moors that's being in North Africa, we wasn't just in North Africa, we was in West Africa too. Because in West Africa, in Senegal, is the Wolof. The Wolof is called the word Nar. A friend of mine is from Senegal. He's in L.A. So when I was in Houston, I put him on the phone with my brother from L.A. He's from Senegal.
Mm-hmm.
The word Wolof, Nar, N-A-R, is Wolof. It means Moor over there. And he said he didn't know his name is Dundee Nar. He's a Dundee Moor.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't just that we were in North Africa. We was in West Africa also. We was in different places.
So listen, how can people catch up with you, Sabir, online?
I don't have nothing online. Nothing. So let me stop.
I already say, man.
Wait, what?
No. Facebook, Sabir, Sabir, Bey, Sabir. And also info at the Sabir Bey Show.com.
Spell it slowly for people
Yes,
to
I
get
was
their
ready
pen.
to do that again.
Yeah, because you know we're retarded.
You said Sabir,
Sabir
Let
Bey.
me say one more again. One more again. Sabir. It's the Twitter, it's the Instagram, it's the Facebook. Everything is there, but the email is all. Make it plain. It's the email is info at thesabirbayshow.com.
I want to thank you so much, SabirBey.com, for
Thank
joining
you.
us here today in the studio.
No doubt.
And you always welcome here. We always leave the light on for you because you always bring some light with you.
Yeah, I bring the light.
Yeah,
What
that's
time
right. So, well, listen, it's been fun, but we really got to run. As I always say before I go away, if God is willing and you're able, I'll be ready again next week for another edition of New World View. Until then, peace.
Peace and love,
Peace.
Philly.
Peace and love.